With the ACC in earnest beginning tomorrow, we got to get predictions in. We have to have them locked in. So if we want to at the end of the year say, I told you so, I knew it, how did you all miss it? We can go back and say before any of the writing was written, we were on that page. And same is true vice versa, right? Then we can't come out and say we told you if everything we're about to tell you is completely false. So for this segment, we're going to lock in win-loss, okay? The three teams in the triangle, we'll pick the order randomly as we always do. But North Carolina, NC State, and Duke football, what will be their final? I'm going regular season record, right? Because the bowl is who knows who's going to play, who knows who you're going to be drawn against there if you make the bowl. So we're going just regular season, and we'll talk our way through it. Dennis, are you ready?
Yes.
Who would you like to start with?
Let's go in order of kickoffs. NC State.
All right.
The first kickoff tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
NC State, I'll give you some background. Over-under set at 6.5. Last year, 6-7 on the season. Their schedule goes like this. Tomorrow, as you mentioned, versus ECU. That's home versus ECU. Home versus Virginia. At Wake Forest. At Duke. Home versus Virginia Tech. Home versus Campbell. At number 6 in the preseason rankings, Notre Dame. At Pittsburgh. Versus Georgia Tech at Carter Finley at home, at number 10 Miami, versus Florida State, and then they round out with their rivalry game versus the Carolina Tar Heels. I went through, and this is what I do every single year to make these predictions. I go through, and the first thing I do is just take the ones that, as long as they generically take care of business, they will win. I came up with 4 of those. Just if you show up, you know, a coach would hate to say this out loud, but if you show up, you roll your helmet out, you're probably going to walk away with a win. I went, and this is no disrespect to these schools. Another way to put it is like if you're more than a double-digit favorite, I kind of take this as if you have to lose, you got to do something bad. You got to let them through. So that's ECU, UVA, Wake, and Campbell. Those are the 4 that I came up with that are like, if you don't win one of those, somebody should pay. Somebody needs to be held accountable. The next thing I do is kind of go to the opposites, right? If we're being real, you're going to have to do something special to win these, right? These are likely losses. I came up with 2 of those. At number 6 in the country, Notre Dame, and at number 10 in the country, Miami. You're on the road against teams that are projected to be top 10 picks, which is not, or top 10 teams, which is not the be-all, end-all, but those the weight is stacked against you. And then you have the decisions, which in this case are Duke, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, Florida State, UNC. This is what I've done. You win the ones I said you win. You lose the ones I say you lose. And this feels like a team that it will be inconsistent enough to just split the rest. You end up 7-5. I came up with 7-5 for NC State. And by the way, I think that's also a good number for anything better than that. You should, if you win 8 games, I think this team should be excited. And a lot of it comes down to how CJ Bailey looks and how some of the young guys look as they build. But I'm going 7-5 officially for NC State. Part of it is acknowledging their schedule's not the easiest. They didn't get the easiest draw in the ACC this year.
No, they did not. I'm with you in the same thing about East Carolina, Campbell, Virginia, Wake Forest. To me, those should be wins in my eyes. And then the Miami, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech's going to be tough on the road at Pitt. Even though I will say this, though, on the road at Wake Forest has not been kind to NC State in recent seasons under Dave Doeren as well. And that's also a Thursday game. Also, again, Thursdays in Wake Forest have not been good to NC State. I'm kind of on that 7-5, 8-4. I'm going to go ahead and lean to 8-4 for NC State this season. That's what I'm going to lock them in at.
All right.
But if you were to tell me 7-5, 6-6, I honestly, I could totally 100% see the argument.
6.5 is the number. I thought that was going to be a low number until I looked at the schedule and went, there's really not that many gimmies here. All right, where do we go next?
Again, order of kickoff. So we have Duke at 7:30 kickoff tomorrow night at Wallace Wade.
Background, Duke over-under also 6.5. So they have the same over-under at the sports books, at least the ones that I checked this morning, as NC State. Their schedule, versus Elon. Home, that's home versus Elon. Home against number 12 Illinois. At Tulane, versus State at home, at Syracuse, at Cal, Georgia Tech at home, at Clemson. They're ranked number 4. At UConn versus UVA. That's at home. At UNC, and then they finish it up at home versus Wake Forest. There you go. I look at this one and I go with this. The gimmies: Elon, Tulane, Syracuse, Cal, UConn, Wake. And I should come up with a better term for that than gimmies.
Virginia?
Did I not say that? Yes, I also had Virginia.
Okay.
I did not have that, or I didn't say that, but I did have that. So Elon, Tulane, Syracuse, Cal, UConn, UVA, and Wake. The only true loss I have, because I'm not high on Illinois somewhere, is at Clemson. That's the only you pencil it in, probably a loss. If you win it, you enjoy it, but I don't think it's fair to expect that. You look at the rest, Illinois, I probably lean loss, but I'm not writing it off as one. State, UNC, they're the crosstown rivals, crazier things can happen. Georgia Tech, they're going to try to bully you. We'll see how tough that defense is for Duke. I came up with 9-3. And I was kind of surprised by it, but just starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that you should win if you play your B+ game, your B game. That's 7 is a really good deal. You only have to win 2 out of Illinois, State, Georgia Tech, Clemson, and UNC. You go 2-3 in those games, you finish 9-3. As long as you take care of business against the teams you should take care of business against.
I've been very bullish on Duke this offseason.
I'm not even sure I'm bullish on them as a team as much as I'm bullish on them with their schedule.
I picked them to finish 3rd in the ACC. I have 9-3 this season.
9-3 might do it.
9-3 is where I see them this year. 9-3.
They got Clemson, but avoiding Florida State, avoiding Louisville, avoiding SMU,
Miami.
No Miami. That's
the reason why I have them at 9-3 is because their schedule is so favorable.
Yeah.
Get State at home.
Yeah, they're like I said, the State game and the UNC game. Predicting those sometimes feels like a fool's errand.
I put in Illinois as a loss, Clemson as a loss, and I feel like Georgia Tech is the 3rd game in my mind that they lose because Georgia Tech is just a tough.
So you think they get
team.
Both State and UNC?
I think so.
Interesting. And the reason why I'm comfortable doing this is you're right. They could upset Clemson. Okay, they could.
Oh, sure.
We've seen it. But they also probably a similar number. They could lose to Tulane, right? So maybe they flip them, right? It's very difficult to say one without the other. And then finally we move to UNC. They don't open up until Monday versus TCU, Monday Night Football. Then at Charlotte versus Richmond at home, at UCF versus Clemson at home in Chapel Hill, at Cal versus Virginia. At Syracuse, home versus Stanford, at Wake Forest, home versus Duke, and then they wrap up the season in Raleigh at NC State. Over-under set at 7.5. So, the sports books, they have the highest number on UNC out of the 3. We'll go right through it again. Again, a fairly favorable schedule. The ones that I have, you should win this if you show up and you play your B+ game. Charlotte, Richmond, UCF, Cal, UVA, Syracuse, Stanford, and Wake. Which again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 wins right there. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I actually have them. I have them losing TCU, losing Clemson. Duke and State, I could see them losing both. So I have them at 8-4, but I think it's ridiculous to expect Bill Belichick in his first year to win 10 games. But when you put it out there on a schedule, it's like, you know what? If he is the greatest coach of all time, I could see him maybe dropping TCU to start the season and finishing with a 9-win season. If you take care of business in the games you should, if your team is ready and prepared like the greatest coach in NFL history should have his team, there's a world where they get a little froggy and leap quite a bit. But I'm locking in 8-4.
8? There's so much unknown with this Carolina
100%.
team. There's so much unknown. Especially in the sense of all the new guys, how quickly they gel. If they get blown out in that game against TCU to start the season, how quickly can this team rally and recover? Who are the leaders in the locker room that are going to pull things together? We don't know who that is yet.
Not at all. We do know Gio Lopez is the starting quarterback.
We do know that
afternoon.
at least. We do know that. Central Florida, again, they had a down year this past year. Who knows with Scott Frost back there? Who knows what they're going to be? I'm with you about Charlotte, Richmond, Stanford, Cal. Those to me should be wins. Same thing with Wake Forest and Virginia. I have 7-5. I have 7-5 for Carolina this upcoming season. Now, whether Carolina fans will accept that or not, that's on them to decide. But I'm just 7-5. I'm just too hesitant to go beyond that. I might be wrong. They might be a 9-win team this season for all we know, but I just don't know how quickly it's all going to come together. I will say this, though. Having Charlotte and Richmond weeks 2 and 3, again, lesser competition, especially Richmond and FCS school, will allow them time to work the kinks out.
Yep.
Whatever they figure out in TCU, I think the team that we see against Central Florida in Week 4 is going to look a far cry from what it is Week 1 against TCU.
And I would take it one step further and say the two games that I have as like they're not toss-ups, but the two that are the most interesting as far as who wins and who loses are Duke and State, and they're right at the end of the year. I don't see them being anywhere near the same team they are against TCU, Charlotte, and Richmond when they take on Wake, Duke, and State at the end of the year. So the schedule, they avoid the SMUs, the Louisvilles, the Miamis, so many of the Georgia Tech even, like so many of the good teams in the ACC they avoid. And then also the way their schedule kind of ramps up, I think in the games that they need to win to be a 9-win or an 8-win season are towards the end of the year when they should be better, and some of those kinks and mysteries that we worry about should be answered. So I'm locking in these as my roster or my records. Duke 9-3, UNC 8-4, NC State 7-5. If I were to say, I think State might be a better team than UNC, but just the way their schedules break, I'm not sure their final records will say that. And I'm a big fan of Duke. I'm not as high as them and like the ACC as a whole, but I think we're both expecting big things from them.
I'm Duke 9-3, NC State 8-4, Carolina 7-5.
By the way, there was ESPN ran like a quarterback confidential where they went around to other coordinators and coaches and asked about some of the bigger name quarterbacks in college football this year. Darian Mensah had some people, not the most complimentary, these anonymous coaches.
Oh, yeah?
Some, I think we're all surprised they paid that much. I'm not sure his style, which was heavy play action at Tulane, works with what Duke wants to do with their quick hitters. So there's some trepidation in the anonymous world, but take it with a grain of salt because it's the anonymous world.